At the very beginning, you can't explain everything that is, but I do know this, that most of the times when people banty around that term method.
She won Oscars, broke barriers, and became one of the most beloved actresses of her generation. But behind Sally Field's radiant smile and powerful performances lies a lifetime of pain, heartbreak, and struggles that fame could never erase. At 78, her story is not just about triumphs on screen. It's about the tragedies that shaped her life and the resilience that kept her moving forward. Sally Field has been a household name for more than 5 decades. From Gidget and The Flying Nun to award-winning performances in films like Norma Ray and Forrest Gump, she has carved out a legacy as one of Hollywood's most versatile and respected actresses. Yet, behind her career milestones lies a personal journey marked by painful family struggles, abusive relationships, devastating losses, and battles with self-worth. Sally's life story proves that even the brightest stars can carry the heaviest burdens. Today, we're uncovering the heartbreaking tragedies of Sally Field at 78, the hidden pain, the losses she's endured, and the courage that has made her one of the most admired figures in Hollywood. Long before she became a 2-time Academy Award winner, Sally Field's life began in an environment filled with instability and pain. Born in 1946 in Pasadena, California, Sally grew up in a fractured family. Her parents divorced when she was very young, and her childhood was soon shaped by the presence of a stepfather whose impact on her life would be devastating. Sally has spoken openly about the abuse she suffered at the hands of her stepfather, actor Jock Mahoney. What made it even more traumatic was that this abuse occurred during a time when Sally was still discovering who she was, both as a young girl and as an aspiring performer. Instead of growing up in a safe environment, she carried the heavy burden of fear and confusion. This early trauma instilled in Sally a deep sense of insecurity, one that would follow her into adulthood. She has admitted that, as a young actress starting her career, she often felt unworthy of love and respect, emotions rooted in those painful childhood experiences. The tragedy here isn't only the abuse itself, but how long she carried it in silence. For years, Sally buried the truth, smiling for cameras and audiences while living with scars no one could see. It would take decades before she found the courage to reveal her past, proving just how much strength it took for her to survive it. Sally's professional career began in the 1960s, when she was cast as the bubbly teenager in Gidget. The show brought her recognition, but it also typecast her in a role that felt far removed from her real self. Soon after, she was cast in The Flying Nun, a role she has since admitted left her feeling humiliated and creatively trapped. On screen, she was America's sweetheart, the cheerful, wholesome girl everyone adored. But off-screen, Sally was struggling. She longed to be taken seriously as an actress, yet Hollywood seemed determined to keep her in lighthearted, frivolous roles. This disconnect between her true self and the image Hollywood imposed on her added to her inner turmoil. For someone already battling insecurity from a painful childhood, being dismissed as a silly little actress deepened her feelings of inadequacy. Sally later described this period as one of the hardest times in her career, not because of the workload, but because of the lack of respect she felt. She knew she had more to give, but the industry wasn't ready to see her as anything other than a pretty face in a costume. The tragedy in this chapter lies in how the world celebrated her smile without realizing the pain behind it. Hollywood had placed her in a box, and for years she struggled to break free, fighting both the industry's perception of her and the doubts planted in her by her past. As Sally Field's career developed, her personal life was filled with turbulence. Like many who carry the scars of childhood trauma, Sally struggled to find healthy, stable love as an adult. Her first marriage, to high school sweetheart Stephen Craig, seemed promising at the beginning, but it quickly became strained under the weight of her rising fame and his struggles with her demanding schedule. The marriage ended in divorce in 1975, leaving Sally to raise their 2 sons while trying to maintain her career. But perhaps her most tumultuous relationship was with actor Burt Reynolds. To the outside world, they seemed like Hollywood's golden couple, glamorous, passionate, and deeply connected. Burt himself later admitted that Sally was the love of his life. But behind the curtain, their relationship was marked by toxicity. Burt was controlling and emotionally manipulative, often criticizing Sally and undermining her sense of self. For a woman already battling insecurities, this relationship compounded her feelings of inadequacy. Sally later revealed that she felt trapped, unable to fully escape the cycle of emotional abuse. While she loved Burt deeply, she also knew their relationship was damaging. It wasn't until years later that she found the strength to speak openly about how destructive their love affair had been. The tragedy here lies in how the world idolized their romance, while Sally silently endured emotional wounds. Even decades later, when Burt passed away in 2018, Sally admitted she still carried the scars of their time together. She mourned him deeply, yet she also acknowledged the pain that relationship caused. These heartbreaks defined much of her early adult life, painting a picture of a woman who seemed to have it all, but who, in reality, was fighting to escape the same cycles of rejection and hurt that had haunted her since childhood. By the late 1970s, Sally Field was determined to prove that she was more than just the quirky girl from The Flying Nun. She wanted to be recognized as a serious actress, and she was willing to fight for it. That fight, however, came with immense personal and emotional strain. When she landed the role of Norma Ray in 1979, it was a turning point. The story of a factory worker turned union activist gave Sally the chance to showcase her dramatic abilities, and she delivered a powerhouse performance that earned her the Academy Award for Best Actress. For Sally, the win was vindication, proof that she could rise above Hollywood's typecasting. But with respect came pressure. Every role she took afterward was judged against her Oscar performance, and Sally felt the weight of constantly needing to prove herself. The industry that once dismissed her now scrutinized her every choice. Behind the scenes, she wrestled with fear of failure, self-doubt, and the exhaustion of always having to fight for credibility. Her second Oscar, won for Places in the Heart in 1985, should have brought her peace. Instead, it intensified the spotlight. It was during this time she delivered her now famous speech, "You like me right now, you like me." To the public, it was a joyful moment, but to Sally, it came from a place of desperation, a raw plea for validation that she had been chasing her whole life. The tragedy here is that even at the height of her success, Sally couldn't fully enjoy it. The recognition she had fought so hard for came tangled with anxiety and the lingering belief that she still wasn't good enough. It was a battle between public triumph and private turmoil, and one that would follow her throughout her career. While Sally Field was building an extraordinary career, her role as a mother was often pulled into painful tension with her professional life. Raising 3 sons while navigating Hollywood's relentless demands was not easy. Her first 2 children came from her marriage to Stephen Craig, and later she had a 3rd son with her second husband, producer Alan Greisman. Like many working mothers, Sally faced criticism no matter what she did. If she focused on her career, she was accused of neglecting her children. If she prioritized her children, she risked losing opportunities in an industry that already struggled to respect women. The pressure was immense, and it often left her feeling like she was failing on both fronts. Her relationships with her sons, while deeply loving, were not free of strain. She has spoken about moments of guilt, missed school events, time away on long shoots, and the constant struggle to provide stability after multiple divorces. She wanted to give her children the safe, supportive home she never had. but her personal battles and chaotic schedule often made that difficult. The tragedy of motherhood for Sally was not in her love for her children, which was unconditional, but in the painful balancing act of trying to be both a devoted mother and a respected actress in a world that rarely made space for women to be both. As Sally aged, another kind of heartbreak began shaping her life: the loss of those she loved. Like many, she faced the inevitable reality of watching friends, colleagues, and family members pass away, each loss cutting deeply into her resilient spirit. One of the most painful deaths she endured was that of Burt Reynolds in 2018. Despite the toxicity of their relationship, Burt remained an important figure in her life. When he died, Sally admitted that her grief was complicated, filled with both love and unresolved pain. His passing forced her to confront not just the loss of a man she once loved, but also the lingering scars of their turbulent relationship. She also experienced the pain of losing fellow actors and friends from her generation. Hollywood is a place where careers are often fleeting, and the deaths of colleagues reminded Sally of both her mortality and the fragility of life in the spotlight. These losses compounded the struggles she was already facing. As she entered her later years, grief became a constant companion, not only for individuals she loved, but for the years gone by, the dreams unfulfilled, and the wounds never fully healed. The tragedy here lies in the accumulation of loss. By 78, Sally Field had lived through the pain of abuse, heartbreak, and insecurity. And now she was enduring the grief of watching her world, and the people in it, slowly fade away. Aging is difficult enough for anyone, but in Hollywood, an industry built on youth and beauty, it can feel like a constant war. For Sally Field, now in her late 70s, this struggle has been both physical and emotional. She has faced health challenges over the years, including osteoporosis, a condition that weakens the bones and increases the risk of fractures. Sally became a vocal advocate for awareness, openly discussing her diagnosis to help other women take their health seriously. Yet, behind her advocacy was a personal battle with the realities of growing older. In Hollywood, aging actresses are often cast aside, their opportunities shrinking as roles for women over 40 become rare. For someone who had fought so hard to be respected as a serious actress, this cultural dismissal was another heartbreak. Sally has admitted that she sometimes feels invisible in an industry that once celebrated her. The tragedy lies not only in the health struggles themselves, but also in the emotional weight of being devalued simply because of age. Sally Field, an actress with decades of talent and wisdom, has had to fight yet again, this time against Hollywood's obsession with youth and its refusal to embrace aging women with the same reverence given to men. Aging is difficult enough for anyone, but in Hollywood, an industry built on youth and beauty, it can feel like a constant war. For Sally Field, now in her late 70s, this struggle has been both physical and emotional. She has faced health challenges over the years, including osteoporosis, a condition that weakens the bones and increases the risk of fractures. Sally became a vocal advocate for awareness, openly discussing her diagnosis to help other women take their health seriously. Yet, behind her advocacy was a personal battle with the realities of growing older. In Hollywood, aging actresses are often cast aside, their opportunities shrinking as roles for women over 40 become rare. For someone who had fought so hard to be respected as a serious actress, this cultural dismissal was another heartbreak. Sally has admitted that she sometimes feels invisible in an industry that once celebrated her. The tragedy lies not only in the health struggles themselves, but also in the emotional weight of being devalued simply because of age. Sally Field, an actress with decades of talent and wisdom, has had to fight yet again, this time against Hollywood's obsession with youth and its refusal to embrace aging women with the same reverence given to men. Sally Field's life has been a tapestry of contradictions. Success and pain, laughter and heartbreak, triumph and tragedy. At 78, her story is not just about the awards she's won or the characters she's played, but about the resilience she has shown in the face of unimaginable challenges. Her journey teaches us that behind every smile can be a battle, behind every triumph can be years of struggle, and behind every tragedy can be a chance to grow stronger. Sally Field is not just a star on the screen. She is a survivor, a fighter, and a voice for anyone who has ever felt unseen. So, what do you think of Sally Field's journey? Does her resilience inspire you the way it has inspired millions? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more untold celebrity stories. Because sometimes the most powerful roles aren't the ones played on screen. They're the ones lived in real life.